Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Peaceful Nick and Aunt Jen here to talk about tools to stay in the present moment, stay in the light, and avoid the trap of falling into darkness. What's happening over there, Aunt Jen?
Well, we're doing our best, right? Like to kind of keep that going on. I mean, I think we can all, whatever, wherever you're coming from, whatever's going on. I just use the word heaviness. It's the first thing I
Mm,
can think of. It's very heavy, and it's just indescribable what kind of is transpiring. And I don't believe that there's ways to just like say love and light and just make everything beautiful. Like that's not really reality.
right. It's spiritual bypassing.
Yes. Yes. And sometimes we do have to feel what we're feeling, whether it be something that's outside of us, in our environment, within our personal relationships. Like we can't avoid it. And so sometimes we can find some different tools that we can keep trying to see what might work and what might not work, just to even for a moment. I think sometimes, I know I used to think that, like, I don't know how you felt, but if there's something going on where you're having a hard time about something, you're supposed to change the mood and change everything for the entire time, the entity of whatever the day is, where it's like maybe you're just going to get 2 minutes of peace.
Right, right,
Maybe
right.
you're just going to get, maybe you're going to get an hour where you didn't think, you know what I mean? And sometimes I think that is, we have to look for the win, where we can find it. Right. And
Mhm.
so it's like, that can kind of be a win, especially when everything is so heavy. And so
Yes.
then it's like, you're never finding a moment of peace or clarity or light or whatever it is that you might be looking for. And so sometimes if we could just find it in that 1 minute and then kind of expand on that.
Or 3 deep breaths. Sometimes it's just 3 deep breaths, and I wanna say hello to Holly and Carol and everyone else that's
Hello, good
watching.
morning.
If you're feeling the heaviness of the world and the heaviness in your own personal life, this is the live stream for you, and if you're watching on replay, thank you, I'm glad you're here. Hello, Kelly. Good morning, sweet, beautiful ladies here watching, and anybody watching incognito, we welcome you all with love. And there are so many tools, and Aunt Jen has been self-love professional expert, teacher, meditation expert for decades. I've learned more from you than most of the people I've ever known. And I just am so happy this is the conversation we're having today.
Yeah,
So sometimes it's just 3 deep breaths. 3
I
deep
agree.
breaths.
I agree wholeheartedly. And that sometimes that's even enough to
Yeah,
like meaning that,
reset.
yes, like it's just like the whole process of even getting yourself to do 3 deep breaths. Like even just to start there is like
Yeah,
sometimes like you might just to kind of add a little bit of kindness to yourself. Like let's just say that after today's discussion, you literally find yourself saying that line that you've just said out loud, and you're reminding yourself throughout the day, oh my gosh, that's right, Peaceful Nick said just take 3 deep breaths, but you don't ever do it. You're
right.
at least pattern interrupting the regular structure of how your brain is working. And so we have to kind of sometimes, we don't have to do anything, you get to decide that like you're going to celebrate that little piece, even if you haven't gotten there yet, to do the 3 deep breaths.
Right.
Before that even took place, you weren't even in that mindset of even having that dialogue. So that's something to celebrate.
And I agree completely. Sometimes little tiny things in our life are annoying. Like if I drop a coffee cup on the floor, first of all, if my coffee is in the coffee cup, I'm absolutely enraged because I need my coffee. Like right now, I'm regretting not bringing it upstairs with me to my office. and but if I break something or spill something, it triggers self anger at myself. I know that was a double, you know, and it's like I have had to learn it's okay. It's okay. You can make more coffee. There's more coffee in the world. It's just a tiny little mess. Sometimes it's a big mess. Just clean it up, get over yourself, and it's okay.
Mhm.
Cherry said, good morning. Good morning, sweetheart. And Vivian, good morning.
Good morning, Vivian.
She said, Nick's always in my head saying, take 3 deep breaths.
See? So whether you do it or not, that's exactly what it is. But it's still as a pattern interrupt is what I refer to it as. And so it's like you're going in another direction. I mean, at least for me. I mean, you come from your own self of what your self talk was, right, or what was going on in there. And so for me, like that was progress at times, right? Just like even looking at like how you're talking to yourself, right, versus maybe how you would have talked to yourself before when you would have dropped something, right? And so it's like those are types of things that like I don't let go unnoticed within myself because I'm the one that needs to pay attention to that so that I can actually see, feel, and hear the difference within myself first. Because honestly, that's what's most important. I mean, it's always, when someone else has something to say, I mean, that's their opinion. And like, how am I feeling about that within me? And so I like to kind of gauge that by paying attention to how I'm talking to myself.
I agree completely. And Serena's here. Good morning, beautiful.
Good morning.
And Rhonda, welcome in. Linda says, I will have to watch later. Okay. And yes, trying to deal with the trauma I feel in the world. Yes. And that's why this is the perfect timing for that. Creative Chick Studio says hello. The anxiety can be overwhelming with everything going on. Yes, yes, yes. And Serena, says, yes, pattern interruption and practicing that compassion with yourself. And that's, and I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
I know we've talked about this. Sometimes it sounds like my questions are like, we've talked about that. Well, I know that. We have.
Oh, you do.
We haven't talked to everybody else about it. When you have grown into who you are today, which we all are growing. Hi, Peekaboo. Welcome in. We're all growing and changing throughout our life and the decades and the differences. When you notice that you have compassion for yourself now, do you ever reflect back on, ooh, I should have maybe had compassion for myself before, or are you celebrating the growth? Like, how are you navigating that for yourself?
I mean, I think that that's a good question. I think that it kind of it changed. So it's like in the present moment when I'm in that place, like I don't any longer like look back at how I could have had more compassion for myself back then, because I'm just celebrating the fact that I have compassion for myself right now.
Mm,
Where when it was a new pattern of creating it, it's kind of like one of those of like, it's like it's like a checklist. Think about it, you have a thought, whatever, like, so that would be the thought that would come in. And it was like, because of my trauma, conditioning, I had a checklist I had to go through, right? Before you could get there. And so I think that maybe that is what's changed is not necessarily that doesn't happen. The checklist has changed. And
mm,
so if that makes any sense. And so sometimes
yeah.
I'm not really in that place of, because I mean, it's like, please, we could spend a lot of time there, right? It's more along the lines of like, can I just have compassion of like, oh, I should have handled something maybe last week, more in like the present moment of like, because further along, if I go further back, let's say even months or like, as far as where I am on my trajectory, like I don't know that version of myself anymore.
Mm,
And so to
mm.
try and like be like, I should have done something differently when it's like, girl, like you were doing amazing. Like you were, so I think it's really like depending upon how you're working the muscle.
That is there. We could unpack that for 20 hours. That statement alone. I want to say hi to Mandy
Hey,
and
Mandy.
Peekaboo. I'm glad you're here. And I'm glad you guys are chatting together in the chat. That's wonderful. We're building community. We want to stay in the light. We want to stay present. We want to avoid the trap of falling into darkness. And that, what you just said, Aunt Jen, is it's perfect because sometimes, and we've talked about this when we talked about shame on another podcast or video live stream, we talked about having shame for the mistakes we made. And it's something everyone needs to hear. Every single person in the world has made mistakes. And when we hold ourselves in judgment because we've been judged so harshly by other people, we need to say, wait a minute, wait a minute. I'm like you said, I did the best I could with what I knew. There were, swords coming at me from every direction, and I was just trying to navigate the best I could with what the situation was. And my reactions may have been one way or the other. And I can't hate myself for that. And we do sometimes. And if you could give tools to someone right now that is going through that shame and guilt and God, I should have done better. Why didn't I do better? How could you help them navigate that?
You know, there comes a couple. There's so many thoughts that come to my mind. I mean, like even just thinking about like our, after we have our discussions, I mean, my mind goes crazy. Like, oh my gosh, I should have said. I wish I could have said. It's like, so disclaimer. Like, I mean, these are when we're having these discussions. I mean, these are little snippets. It's like there's so many different directions and ways, and some of the stuff that I will say or put out there, like it's one piece. Like there is so many others to be
Right.
added, and it just is important to put that. And so I would say like there's a lot of different levels to your question that you asked. And,
We have deep thoughts over
I
here.
know this is so, and I'm just going to go back to like, you talking about making a mistake, right? And like, what do you do from that and the shame from carrying that? And it literally just brought me back to a situation I was just in yesterday when I went to the local gas station and I went in and having a conversation and I was like, how are you today? And she goes, oh, and I was like, oh, okay. And she goes, yeah, I made a really big mistake. There's
Mm,
something that happened at work, right? And I was like, okay. And so then all of a sudden I'm just like, okay, you're not your mistake.
yeah.
People make mistakes. Like, but it was the piece that I was trying to get across to remind myself, because if you think about it, when you're saying things to other people, you're actually also saying that to yourself to some degree. And again, I always like to have disclaimer. This is my opinion, because this is my opinion about looking at that. It's helped me because I make mistakes all the time. All the time. I fuck up all the time. So it's like, okay, I'm not my mistake. It's one of the first things I'll say to myself. I'm not my mistake. And I believe it's in what you do from the mistake.
Yes.
How do I recover from it? How much ownership do I take from it? What am I going to do with it? What am I going to how can I transmute it? What is like the possibilities of it? And so that was also the conversation that I'd had with my new friend at the gas station, right? I was just like, we all make mistakes, but it's what you do in it. Like, are you, noticing that like, oh my gosh, I make mistakes. I make a mistake. I think that's the first thing you do is witness yourself. What do you do? That's the first tool. Like, what do you do? Do you go off and hide? Do you go off? Are you scared? Are you ashamed? Like, what are the feelings? What is the first thing that you do? And then after you've kind of sat with yourself, it's like compassionately inquiring. Okay, what happened with that? Okay, what's going on with that? Okay, what can I do from that? Like at least for me, the pressure of perfection from the world has what was made me just be like, oh, forget that. I got to try a whole new different way to do it because that standard never worked for me. And so I would have never been successful. I would never fit in. So it's like you have to find your own kind of a way. And so then once you like turn it down, the volume, and find out what that is, it's like, okay, so you're just supposed to always know how to do everything perfectly. And you're supposed to like that is not only a lot of pressure, but it's not really giving you enough. You're not giving yourself the room to grow. You're not giving yourself the room to heal and learn. And so I would say that one of the first steps is finding out what's going on, compassionately, without judging yourself, witness what do you do? Because until I started taking ownership, I would run and hide. If I made a mistake, I was gone. Like I was like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? Like if Nicole, if Peaceful Nick was to send me a text message right now and say, hey, when we're done, I gotta talk to you. My first instinct still will go back to like, what did I do? But because I've helped to clear that trauma, not from being like, oh, I wish it would just go away, like actually working with it, it still shows up, but then I'm like, oh, that's not you, that's not your languaging, Jennifer. Hold on a second. Even if you did make a mistake, let's be open to hearing what she's got to give you for feedback, where I'm not going to necessarily have to defend myself. Right, because it's like automatic defensive. Wait, I didn't mean like the defense takes on, and that piece of staying in that defense stopped me from cleaning up whatever the mess was, because I'm sitting there defending myself. And that definitely can be a part too. But it's like taking all that in of somebody, something happening is a lot. And that's another thing. How much of it really belongs to us? I mean, there's so many pieces to it, right? Of like how that works. But I just think right when you said that, I just thought about the lady's sweet face at the gas station just ran right across my face. And it was just like remembering. And it was like that her whole day, right? She was probably going to sit in there her whole day and not saying like, oh, I came along. No, but maybe she might think of it a little bit differently now. I'm like, oh, she'll spend her energy being like, okay, how do I fix this so I don't get in trouble more with my boss, or how, right? And it's like, yes, how do we go in that direction of like, I mean, think about when someone's done something to you and they're not coming in a rude, condescending way, but they're owning it and they're not defending themselves. Like it hits different.
Yeah, it does. And I think part of that is maturity. And as you were talking and saying all those beautiful nuggets, I was writing as fast as I could everything you said because I want to go back to every single point. So.
I used to have a friend that would follow me with a little notebook, and she's like, I just got to write all the little down. She's like, what'd you just say? And I'm like, I don't know. Like it just came out. Like,
flows. And Jen is in the flow all the time with her beautiful nuggets of knowledge. And I think
it's not me.
You underestimate your power, just like they say in Star Wars.
Yeah.
You underestimate your power.
Welcome to the light side. That's
my exactly. Oh, look!
Welcome to the light side, girl.
Look who's here with all the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Mm-hmm. I thought of Emma when I put that up. Mandy, our little niece. All right. Carol said, especially now going through my recovery every day, I have to say to myself, 3 deep breaths, trust the process. Yes. Peekaboo said, I need tools because I got a message from my guides to control my emotions. Not easy. I would say maybe think about the term regulate your emotions. You can't control your emotions, but you can keep yourself from having an outburst that's not necessary depending on the situation, right? We'll unpack that too.
Sometimes the outburst and then see it after and be like,
right. Annie Yuki Chick said lurking for a bit with eyes fully open and the coffee or tea finishes brewing. Good. Eyes are fully okay. Vivian said, I no longer call my past learning experience mistakes. I did my best with what I had. Very good. I stopped the self-guilt from creeping in. Good. Check mark. Gold star. Vicky said, I feel this. And then they're talking about English tea. Peekaboo said, I slip into defensive mode. A lot of people do because we've been blamed and shamed
for so much.
Long. Let's see.
Sorry, can I just say something to that?
Yeah.
Like, I think that and I'm only saying that because I guess that's how I put it out there, and I'm hoping it's received well. So I still become defensive, but then I kind of own it and we'll talk about it too. It's like, I think that being able to acknowledge and own whatever is going on, it can kind of have a little bit more of an impact. And so you don't have to change. I mean, being defensive about something is a natural thing per se. And I think just I witness and watch how strong the defensiveness is. How much I have to sometimes I won't even defend myself anymore. I'll say something after the fact, later, let them say what they have to say. And I'm not going to defend myself and then be able to put that around. But when you're defending yourself, you're deflecting from the person. And so they're not, especially when they're expressing themselves about something, even if it doesn't belong to you, being able to just hear somebody, right, and be able to be in that space. So my point was witnessing yourself on how defensive you're becoming, right? That it can be changing, and that not everything, things don't have to be good, bad, right, or wrong. They just are sometimes, and we're just learning and growing and becoming stronger about it, like a muscle, building a muscle.
And I want to say a couple of things as I was writing your notes. People are defensive, not in every situation, because Creative Chick has a story I want to dive into in a moment. People are defensive because nobody wants to be wrong, because we have been shamed our whole lives. Most people, not every person, but I'd say most people in their family of origin, whoever they grew up around, their religious organization. I grew up Catholic, lots of shame and guilt in that religion. I grew up around a bunch of people who were, you should feel bad about that. You should feel bad. You are wrong. And I think a lot of people were raised in that way to a degree. And so, of course, my first offense, as everybody who knows me personally knows, I wanted to prove I was right because I was made to be wrong all the time. And I've had to learn, I don't give a F what anybody thinks now. Like, either I'm right or wrong. I try to own it when I can. Sometimes I don't see it until later, and that's the process, right? Everybody's learning. And Jen and I are not saying we made it to the mountaintop, y'all.
I just made it to the. I'm at a rest stop. I'm still climbing. Like that needs to be like. I feel like I'm done when I'm done.
I got a Sherpa behind me carrying all my garbage I haven't unpacked yet, right? Like that's we're all in a process. Learning all of this stuff is forever. You're never at the mountaintop, right? We're never going to hit the peak.
I believe so.
In moments of, I feel good about where I am. You can feel better every day. And Creative Chick says, and this is important, I'm coming out of a divorce with a narcissist and was gaslit a lot. Girl. So I have a lot of guilt for my decisions and mistakes I made. We talked about this before. Shame for making decisions that you thought you needed to in the moment. And then later you're like, God, I can't believe I allowed that. So what kind of tools can the brilliant Aunt Jen, I got to get another piece of paper because I filled up 2 already. By the way, I'm ready. I'm ready for notes.
Okay. What tools? Well, first, compassion. I mean, I just want to start with compassion. Like, compassion is probably the number one tool. Self-compassion. Because you can't have compassion for other people until you have it for yourself.
Amen.
So trying to get there and be like, oh, I'm going to understand where they're coming from if I can't understand where I'm coming from. And, we're probably going to only be able to tap upon some of it depending on the time and different things. So we'll definitely come around. You'll hear these different things from me. Some of them are regular. But I think the tools that I would like to first start off talking about are based on the senses. I'm very big on the connection between the senses and a tool, because we all have access to our senses, right? What are our senses? Hearing, seeing, smelling, touch, taste, right? Did I say them all?
I think everybody knows what the sense.
Okay, great.
Not enough.
So we'll just start with, okay, so the question was, what's a good tool for someone who's been okay, so that would be self-love. Give me 1 second. Okay. So, I'm trying to think of what sense. Let's just do hearing. Okay, so through ears. So there's a lot of things that I look at as a tool, and I also look at as an observation. So the tool, they can go together. So the tool would be, what can I use to bring into my sense of hearing that will help to uplift me? While also, what am I hearing and how is that affecting me now? Meaning, if you're listening to the news nonstop, that's what you're hearing. And so it's not saying it's just saying, I like things to make sense for me. Things need to make sense because I've always had to figure, 1 + 1 does equal 2, but 1 + 1 does not equal 2 in my world. So it's like, okay, how does that work for me? So like, I need to understand how that makes sense. So it's like, oh yeah, that does make sense. If you're listening to all this stuff constantly, like that's going to come into my being and
Yes.
it's going to affect me. So what can I do as far as sound goes to uplift myself? And this is a great point I just want to cover again, of like, there's no like, oh well, I'll just bring some nice sound and everything's going to be great. Like,
Right.
good luck. Like that is, trying to find moments. We're trying to find, like I said, like it's the pause in between all of the craziness that's going on, that you might just find that one little moment, right, where you're like kind of bringing that in. So like some great examples that I like to use as far as what I use as far as my sound goes. I love Hertz music. If I wasn't on my computer right now, there was Hertz music would be going on in the background that you would hear. I have different types of Hertz music.
Solfeggio. Yeah.
All the different ones that they have. I mean, there's so many different things that are out there based on what I might be looking for to help with my body. And it's just kind of like in the background, like having that kind of like whatever is kind of going on. I'm paying attention to like, what does my self-talk like right now? What are things that even for a moment, to be able to, like, if I'm just feeling completely helpless or, feel like, what is one statement that I can just kind of say to myself and hear, right? To be able to go into that of being like, okay, well, I might be having all those same thoughts of like all of this going on, but like, at least there's one, right? That's coming back in. That's like being able to change that direction. And then again, as a tool, using the sound, silence, to be able to actually hear. And I'm not saying that there's not so many other things. I could talk about meditation and different things forever. There's no right or wrong way. There's millions of different possibilities. There's so many different styles that you can go ahead and try. But generally speaking, people that I have a conversation with that really would like to learn, and they're like, they can't stop their thoughts and they don't know how. And so they don't want to. And the truth
Yeah.
is, they don't want to be with them.
Yes.
Just like someone who's not, just like somebody who's not physically, I just want to put this out there so that it was relatable. Someone who maybe is not, I can't do that physically. I've never been able to do that. Okay, well, you got to start somewhere, right? It's like one step at a time of like, okay, so I'm going to walk for 5 minutes and then, see how that works. It's like, we all have our things. So, but that's the, I don't know if the right term I would use is, but that the challenge something, but that is the number one thing I hear when people are talking to me. They're saying all this, but that's what I'm hearing. You do not want to be with your thoughts. And it's like, if you just sit there and be with them, then they have nowhere to go. Like, you're giving them a place of being like, listen, I know you're going to keep on repeating in my head. You're going to do it all day anyway, because
Right.
they do. Our thoughts repeat themselves from the previous day. And so what are we taking in as far as the hearing part was what we were talking about right now.
Right. And I'm glad you repeated that, because we do have a problem with our own thoughts, and we are our own worst enemy. I know that's a cliche, but it's true.
I get in my way more than anyone else.
Right. People, you wake up, and this is why I say to people, wake up and say 5 things you're grateful for. Don't look at your phone, don't turn on the TV. Say 5 things you're grateful for. And at nighttime, say 5 things that made you happy that day. Because now you're bookending gratitude and happiness. And it can be as simple as, for me, I look forward to my cup of coffee more than anything every morning. And I go out back and I feed the birds and the doves, and it brings me peace, and I don't turn the news on. And it is so important. We create that train in our brain of thoughts that are horrific. Usually, most of our thoughts, I'm sure, are negative, but we have the ability to shift that. And so, to address, how do you deal with recovering from a narcissistic marriage or relationship? And it doesn't have to be a marriage. It can be any relationship. You can have narcissistic parents, narcissistic siblings, narcissistic friends. I mean, the list goes on. People in the news gaslight you. Like, we're gaslit. we have to ruminate. No, excuse me. Delete that. we,
That's a
have,
clear.
we have to go within and say what feels good to me, and if it feels good to you to be surrounded by negative noise, maybe ask yourself another question: why does that feel good to me? And that's when Aunt Jen's talking about sitting with yourself. Those are the types of things we can ask ourselves, not by shaming yourself, just asking questions.
Curious, like a
Yeah,
curious little kid. You know, like that little kid that's curious and want, like, look at it as like a game. You're playing a game, and the curious kid wants to understand the game and the rules. There are no rules. Like you're just sitting and spending time with yourself.
exactly.
Just being.
And I love, there are people who we know in our personal lives who stay so busy to avoid sitting with themselves. And that is very common. People who work 24/7 or do, and they never sit. We have to slow it down. Slow it down. And the world is so busy out there. There's so much going on. Bring it down. Bring it
Well,
down.
and that's
And
also being it's
oh,
celebrated. Like you're celebrated if
yeah.
you're busy, if you're too
Yeah.
busy to call people back, or you're too busy. Like the being busy is like this you know, it's like it's importance of some kind. And actually I think it's doing the opposite in general. Like not only is it creating people from avoiding themselves in so many ways, but it's also like this this blanket excuse on why you can't do something with someone else, which honestly just, I mean, it's just it feels rude. Like if I don't know if I mean, maybe I'm not sure I've ever told someone a reason for not getting back to them was because I was busy. Like that just like, it's like something came, you know, whatever's going, like you don't have to have a reason. That's the whole other thing. I mean, that's something to really like go to more important. I'm not trying to focus on like shaming people for saying you're busy, but you don't need to tell people you don't owe people anything. Like you owe yourself. And so we have to find all these reasons why I can't get back to this person. I didn't call them. I'm just so busy. It's like, I mean, really, you're as long as you're living your life, like we do the best that we can. And if
And
someone's really shaming you or wronging you for the way you spend your time, you might want to look at who you're hanging out with.
And is it yourself? And I want to get to some of the comments because and get back to that about being busy. Creative Chick said, I think my guides have brought me to YouTube to find this new tribe. It has brought me joy and a new understanding of my journey. And that's the whole point. And I want to thank you and others who show up for us here on YouTube, because this morning I'm like, God, I just don't feel like the algorithm's pushing me out. We have so much to say. We're trying to help people, and you know, the comments like this make me so happy, because it's like, oh, okay. I don't need to reach 10 million people right now. One or two is fine, or 20, or whatever it is. These comments help us know that we're helping, which will cause a ripple effect of you will share Creative Chick and Vivian and Mangold and everybody, and Carol and everybody else who's here, Holly, Mandy, Peekaboo, everybody who's here, Secret Charla, Serena, everybody who's here. If you share one nugget of this information with one other person sometime this week, they might share a nugget with somebody. And so this is meant to be an expansive journey for everyone. Okay. And I said I was getting back to, the busyness. I love it when when people say, I was too busy. I didn't text you back for 6 months. Well, you've gone to the bathroom at least once in 6 months, right? Everybody I know, except for one lady on here last time, said, I don't take my phone to the bathroom, but everybody looks at their phone in the bathroom.
And sorry, go on.
No, you can text back, say, hey, I'm in the middle of something. I'll get back to you later, or give me a couple days. You know, I don't have if my wonderful niece, Mandy, who's here watching, I'm so happy you're here. If she texted me and said, hey, I just don't have the bandwidth to talk right now. I just don't have the clarity of mind. I just don't have the ability to have any type of conversation, anything like that. If she said that to me, I'd be like, cool, all right, I get it. Whatever you can, get back to me. And so we also need to have grace for other people in these situations.
Well, because someone not getting back to you is an answer.
Yeah.
It's not a negative. It doesn't have to be turned into, they're just, I mean, sometimes people don't know what to say. They
Yeah.
don't know, you know, so it's like, that's really is okay. But I did want to hit on something, if that's okay to
Yeah.
bring it around, just because we talked about it last time. And actually, after we were done, I was like, I was surprised with myself of being like, I can't believe you didn't say anything about that. So I was like, I have to bring the bathroom up.
Okay.
And the reason why I had to bring the last discussion.
And Annie Yuki Chick said, here we go again.
I know. And I just have to do a disclaimer because I didn't say anything about the bathroom last time when we were talking about things. And ever since the bathroom is a sanctuary to me. And I know it might sound like it's the place that you can actually get alone. Sometimes I get it. There's different stalls in there, so you're not. But any job, any place I go, when I was younger, my mom would joke about how, oh my gosh, there goes Jennifer to the bathroom again. But it was like, now I look at it, I'm like, yeah, because I needed a break. It was like, I needed to kind of I didn't understand what was kind of happening. But I have cried so many times in a bathroom. I have at work, just being able to release and let that go. And so my comment said I don't bring my phone to the bathroom. And I'm like, I get that, because thinking back to how much the bathroom had such an impact in my life was before we had these phones, in all the different things. And it was like the bathroom was like this, and it still is. I still will go to the bathroom to just okay, let's look in the mirror. Love it. There's always usually a mirror there that I can look at, and I can eye gaze to myself to be like, what's going on, girl? What's happening? How we doing? Maybe say something, maybe just take a minute to kind of breathe and regroup and go back outside. But that was what I wanted to say at the bathroom. I know that there's other things that go on, but to me, the bathroom is actually one of my sanctuaries.
And where we get all our get our vision.
Oh, I have these downloads every time I go to the bathroom.
Hello, Lemon Fresh Joy. I'm so glad you're here. Mangled said, we called it my dad's throne room. And I want to address men being in the bathroom for a long time, because
that's why they're there.
I was just going to say, I talked to a lot of women. Most of my clients, probably 90%, are female. And, why is my husband? And I've realized recently, because I've had a husband for 30 years too, oh, it's an escape. See, moms, I was a mom and a wife, and I didn't have time to escape for 45 minutes in the bathroom every day.
But they're going to come in the bathroom with you.
Yeah, exactly. The cats, the dog, the kids knocking on the door, mom, so moms don't get that. Men go in and they tune it all out, and they're just in there. And so I just came to that realization. Oh, it's an escape.
Yes.
As Dory would say, escape. It's an escape. Just keep
it's a place that they could be, where people are not going to disturb. And because there's things that go on in there that are not enjoyable, people leave them alone. Generally speaking, if you're in there for a longer period of time, there's a reason for it. Right. And so it's we'll just it's an escape. And it's also, escape means, it's an escape to possibly find themselves, to reconnect, whatever that's kind of looking like. But that is what I think is the bathroom, think about it nowadays. Where is there to go? My car is like that too. My car is personally another sanctuary for me. So where are your sanctuaries, right? Where you can get yourself, where you can come back to yourself, where you can find yourself, where you can come back. That's a tool. There's a tool right there. How can I come back to my own heart, to my own self? Where, if I can't do it when I'm in public, where can I go? How can I find a way to be able to go somewhere?
Your mentor, the other Jen, taught me something a few years ago. She said, build your own sanctuary in your home. And at the time, I was in a tiny itty bitty apartment in the Bay Area, California. And I didn't really have a place. There was no place in a 1-bedroom, 600 square foot apartment to build a sanctuary. The bathroom, I think, was the biggest room in the apartment, actually, which was weird. But now that we have our home and we've moved, my office is my sanctuary, and this is where it's so pretty. Every time I come in here, I'm like, it's so pretty. I've got these plants and these paintings. It
Exactly.
smells good. I've got the essential oils burning.
You just hit on sight, smell. Like, there you go. I
Yeah.
want to talk about the senses, right? Using tools. You've just hit on them.
Yeah. It
You
smells
just
good.
hit on like the different ones, and it's also like what has been created. I mean, I've recently been in a new place, while also going all over the place. My home does not look like I've lived here, except my sanctuary area. It's like,
Right.
oh wait, that area's set up, and it's like, oh yeah, no. That's the first thing I set up. Everything else might be like whatever, but like this little beautiful place where I go and sit and where I do different things. Like, it's one of the first places I set up in any home, any place I ever go. Hotels, like it was the one. Just even if it's just a little thing where you just put a little picture down, or you like, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It's like creating something for yourself, and that's a visual, right? That's creating something that's visually there. The scent you went on, that was smell. Like, I
Yep.
mean, it's like you're having like, there's so many different things that are going on that I could talk about with the tools, because we've only discussed like hearing for like a slight second.
Yeah, but we discussed a lot at the beginning. I want to read some comments. Vivian said, my narcissistic sibling taught me to love my parents and care for them even more by doing the opposite of what he was doing, I imagine, and taught me true family is not always blood related. Oh, girl. Oh, yes. Check on that. Let me tell you. Let me tell you. Let me tell you.
Sometimes will cause, I've seen that cause, I don't know what the right word is, but unhealthy, I'll say that, unhealthy connections of like, because someone's blood, you owe them this, you have to be like this, you have to like, and I'm like, that one doesn't resonate with me. Like, I understand certain things and certain and others, but like other things, it's like I don't really know about that one. And
I want to add to that. And I was told by an in-law decades ago that I needed to respect them because they were in-laws, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you don't respect me. Why would I respect you? You're rude. You're cruel. You don't, you're all of them were narcissists. It's like, why would I, why
because
would
you're
I be?
supposed to, because that's the way it is, and because, right, it's got all the different
Guess
reasons.
what? Guess what? That's another podcast, in-laws.
Or I mean, just, yeah, I mean, I think that like that, other family members. I mean, I think that I think about certain people that I know, and I think that partially I've experienced it myself at different times, is that you're involved with someone per se, maybe, and their loyalty and dedication to their family is very, very high. And it actually costs the relationship.
Yes.
And then in the end, and then you get to be like, well, I picked my family, and that's great. My only follow-up question for that would be is, how much do they have your back? Like,
Right.
you're picking your family, and you're picking these people that everyone's telling you have to pick them because that's your family. And so it should be like that. Like,
Programmed.
what's the relationship actually really like with these people? And if it's a great one, well then, okay, that's totally different. But if it's not, and they're not even really there for you, but this other person, like, it just, but people have to go through their own process of what that is. But it becomes very confusing, I think, in the mind of like where your loyalty, and that's why you have to be an individual of what is your own process, and accepting your process in the moment, because it can change. So you may feel a certain way towards people, and then as you're doing your work, it just shifts. And so like giving yourself the flexibility and the opportunity to shift on how you feel towards someone is also a really good gift you could give yourself. Because being very clear that you're just going to stay in the hating game forever, I
Right.
mean, you're entitled to it. And like, you will shift as you start to shift. So allow that. I mean, nothing stays the same. It's constantly moving and growing. At least that's me. I'm constantly moving and growing. And if you want me to stay the same, like the core of me is still the same. Like, that's not who I signed up to be.
I want to go back to the family stuff with in-laws and being in relationships with people who, now I'm going to give a trigger warning for sensitive language. So if you're sensitive to certain things, trigger warning. It's not curse words, it's just sensitive wording. There's a term for when somebody is enmeshed completely with their family and they would pick their family over their partner. It's called emotional incest. That's the term for it, where you are so enmeshed with one or two or more family members for a variety of reasons. It's like I know a family where the mother and the son are so emotionally enmeshed and so dysfunctional and toxic. It's like the son is expected to be the husband, but not sexually. And that it's more common than we may realize. And it's like, that's not healthy. That's your son. Yes, if you're 90 years old, he should come over and change your filter, whatever. But it's not, yeah, Mangold said Oedipus. But I don't mean it in a sexual way. I mean it in an emotional
No,
way.
it is. It's my therapist, I have a coach and I have a therapist, and my therapist, like, you come from an enmeshed or a disengaged family, generally speaking. Like, you pick, which I came from a disengaged. So it was like, oh, okay. And then you watch the enmeshed. I watched all the enmeshed and be like, oh my gosh, I wish I was in a mesh family. And then I'm like, oh no, I
Oh,
don't.
no,
Oh,
no.
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 Because you're thinking from someone who's disengaged, you're thinking, oh, they must have it really great over there because everyone's so no. At least this way, when I was disengaged, I was on my own to figure it out. Like, I don't have to deprogram that program. It's like, wait, where do I start? Where does this person begin? And where does
Right.
that, so I mean, there's no right or wrong. It's just part of your process of like learning, okay, what is that piece and what is, kind of going on. But I think that what ends up happening, because we get in these positions and these things of the family, which I get it. We owe our, whatever the story is, but then it costs you an actual personal relationship.
Yeah.
And then I think, and that's when sometimes that's what makes someone wake up, or someone realize, oh wait, that's not healthy. Or maybe they learn from someone else. Oh, I saw what happened to you and I don't want that to happen to me, so I don't want to, like. But it's like, if you're sitting there asking yourself like, oh wow, maybe I'm in an enmeshed family, well, I mean, you're answering your own question. And
Yeah.
like, it's really okay to like, okay, what that's okay. And maybe nothing happens for a while. Like, maybe you're just being aware of like, wow, I didn't realize how enmeshed I am. And meshing,
Yeah, and most of the
there's
time
no
we
beginning
don't.
and there's no ending to where you start and the other person. Like, you guys are like,
Right.
you're not having your own individuality. You do, but like everything goes enmeshed in so many different, directions. And there's no wrongness. That's the first thing. There's no wrongness. There's no shame about it. And you're the only one that can actually dictate that for yourself.
Right.
Then you can kind of observe, right? And seeing kind of what's going on in the situation that you're in hand.
And to make everyone feel a little better, this takes decades to unravel. You don't turn 18 and move out of your house and be like, oh, yeah, I have it all figured out. I know what was wrong with my family. And being in a disengaged family, as you described, makes you want to be in an enmeshed family because you want to belong to something, right? And so then you realize you see a family like that, and you're like, oh. That's,
But it takes a minute. Like, you're thinking, like, you're like, oh, they must have it better. They must love more. They,
no,
they care so much more because this family's enmeshed and this one was distant. And I'm like, now that
unhealthy, unhealthy.
I've seen the different things, I'm like, I don't think so. So
And
that's
then
just
there's the low effort in mesh family, but that's another story. That's
yeah.
a whole other.
There's so many stories on all of it. You can
All of it.
You could break all of that down. I mean, it's kind of the same thing as, you're talking about, where we are, and it's just where you are in your path. I mean,
Yeah.
I've just been doing this a lot longer. I'm not like this complete, I still have to practice. It's still a muscle. I still forget. I still like,
Well, and it's
do it.
your
But
own life experience, Aunt Jen, molded who you are as a leader of guiding people into this beautiful part of their journey. So just I want to get to some comments, but I wanted to let you know your own life helped you help people.
definitely.
You help lead people to their own healing and self-love.
That's my goal. That's all I want.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get to all the versions of myself, and then anyone else that is inspired, not by what I say, anything, like what inspires you? Like, I'm not have all the answers. Maybe that triggers you to be like, oh, I like that, but I'll tweak it a little. It's like, that's
Right.
great. Like,
Yes, and that's the best kind of teacher.
it's
I
like,
don't know if you
no,
know this,
not
but you're such a good teacher because you're not holding your rigid
no.
standards to somebody, "You have to do it my way." No.
It didn't work for me.
You allow the unfolding. You allow the unfolding. And Carol said, "I can't imagine my life now without Spirit and my new spiritual friends and podcasts. I thank Spirit every day for my new life. I love it. I love it. Thank you, sweetheart." And continue sending Carol healing for her knee. Lemon Fresh, no, I haven't listened to Gilda Lily. I think my sister listens to Billy Strings. Maybe she can let me know if she's heard it. I will. I've got a schedule that's keeping me.
Busy?
No, I'm not going to say it. I'm going to write it down.
Kidding.
Gilda Lily, Billy Strings. And then Mangled said, "My dad cost me a lot. He always wanted to be number one no matter what until he got with someone. Then I wasn't allowed to talk to him when she was there. It was so weird and traumatic." Let me tell you.
Dad trauma.
Next week on Aunt Jen and Peaceful Nick, dad trauma.
Oh, I mean, that's a good, I mean, I could talk about that one just because of the path that I'm on with my own father. Like, I'm just like, oh, wow. Like, yeah, this has been.
And what do you do when there is no path? When there's no way to get to a path? That's something else we need to
unpack. Yeah, that's a whole nother.
Yeah. Lemon Fresh said, "My sister-in-law really let me down during her last visit. As far as her sister goes, I care less if I ever talk to her again." And that happens. So we have to put up boundaries. When people show you who they are, let them. We can't, we have expectations, and that can be a mistake.
Of others and ourselves.
Right. We come with love, and when somebody else doesn't, because we expect them to, then we're disappointed. But if we don't expect them to, we won't be disappointed. Let's just say the pessimist in me would say, just expect the worst from people. But I don't really believe that. I think there are many, many more people with good hearts who really want to do good things than there are people that are the opposite. I think everyone thinks their intention is to be good. Whether it is or really or not is relative to the situation, because like what Aunt Jen said, everything's moving and in motion. There's nothing that's static, right? And
Nothing
so
to count on. Change, movement.
Yeah. Yep. Missy, hi, Missy Birdie Mom. My sister-in-law is so needy, but has never helped anyone in the family, but she really thinks everyone owes her. It's very frustrating. That's what we call privilege. She thinks she deserves something. And you're like, girl, no, we don't even get clean air. Ashley, hi, Ashley. Oh, Ashley's one of my wonderful, incredible friends from the UK. I gave her a reading in my first probably 6 months of my mediumship profession, and we've just become friends, and wonderful stories I could tell about sweet, lovely Ashley and her kitty cat Milo. Annie said, "Sadly, the grass always seemed to be greener on the other side of the fence. Not anymore. I'm too old for that." I had a family that I grew up with, like cousins. They weren't technically cousins, but they were like cousins. My mom and the mom of this family were best friends. And I always thought they had the best family. They had the best life. I wanted to live with them. I wanted to be part of their family. Oh, they had better toys than I did, all of that. And I found out later, I am so glad I did not live with their family, because it was not what it seemed at all.
But it's a part of the process, though. I mean, I think it is. I mean, I loved watching Little House on the Prairie. I wanted to be on that show. I wanted Michael Landon to be my dad. Like,
Yeah.
right? We all find our like, and then you go through your different processes and you look back on it as another version of ourselves, right? That kind of like
Mhm. Yep.
went
Yep.
through that.
And it's never what we think.
No.
It's not. Kelly Foster said, Megan is over, and we both discussed I am from a disengaged family and she is from an enmesh family.
Yes, I would confirm that, Kelly Foster.
Confirmed. Annie said same. I'm not sure where that comment came along the line. Vivian said it's the negative people who were in my life who gave me the ability to recognize the awesome people who were in my life, right? Compare and contrast. That's why in English class in middle school or high school, you wrote the compare and contrast paper. Does everybody remember that? What's the good? What's the bad? I would say for my life experience, because it was chaotic and changing rapidly at all times, I had to pick out people who inspired me. There was this lady, Jane Ann, who lived in the small town I lived in when before my mom died, and I just adored her. I looked up to her. She was so sweet and so kind, and she welcomed us into her home, and she would give us snacks and treats, and she was just non-judgmental and kind, and I just felt that from her, and I always so that's one example. Pick from the good. Pick from the good. It doesn't have to be blood related.
And it's just one person, just having one. Like I definitely have been, I've had I have many walks of life of friendships and different things, but like I've been walking this path, finding my spiritual family for decades now, collecting more and having them. And like you might be like, well, I don't have anybody. Like it takes one. You only need one person that can hear you, feel you, and see you, and you can have these conversations where you're feeling like you're not being judged and you're not, and like, and then it kind of goes from there. And then you start to find more people like, that are like that, like-minded people come together. And I think that like one of the things I'd want to say, because we keep, there's a lot going on and there's so many things in the world and there's so many things that we can do. And there's, so, or things that people aren't doing. Like these people are going out here and they're protesting and these people are not doing anything. And like my philosophy since the very beginning has been, I have just tried to be the change that I want to see in the world. Whether anyone else understands that's what I'm doing, whether anyone accepts it, whether or not anyone thinks it's okay, like I don't care. Like since the beginning of all of this, for how long I have just keep trying to focus on, I'm going to try and be the change that I want to see in the world. The only thing I have control over changing is myself. That's it.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that's when I start to find all the tools and that's when I start to use them. And then there's days when I'm not dealing with anything and I'm sitting there and I've called in sick. Like, so I am not claiming I walk around like I never have, never will. Like that's not reality in my world. So I'm just saying, like, when it also becomes heavy, find out what you need to do for you. Not that other people are telling you you need to do or you're being judged. Like, what in this situation of the world, even in your own life, that's the bigger picture. And then we start with our one thing for our own life. But like, what can you do to make a difference and make a change? And sometimes I think it's just like that. Be the change you want to see.
Model the behavior.
Yeah, and I'm not walking around telling other people. I haven't done any of that. I just keep on coming back to like a mantra. I just keep coming back like it flows in. I've been like, what are you gonna do? All this happen. Okay, I'm just gonna keep trying to be the change. I'm just gonna keep on working on myself to vibrate at a higher vibration, to be able to see how I can help, to go out there and show up. All the times I show up to lead meditations for people or show like I'm going out in the world smiling at people, like that's making a difference. It might not seem like it, but it sure is when you ask someone how their day is. Like, or so we don't have to be these big, huge, grand gestures. Like start small with yourself. And there are a lot more tools than we had talked about. I mean, we only discussed, I didn't even talk about any of them really. So we might have to come back around. We might have to continue this one for the tools because there's just so many great tools.
We talked about a lot at the beginning. The beginning
I can't remember what we like. I don't even remember what we talked about.
I'll read it in just a moment, but I want to get to Mandy's comment. Mandy is our lovely niece. And Aunt Jen spent many, many years and days and times with my nieces and nephews, our nieces and nephews,
I
as we
love
call
them.
them. And she used to take them to the wax slides in San Francisco,
I take them all over the place.
which are slides, they're concrete slides that you use wax paper. Is that what it was? Is that
Mhm.
my memory? And so I'm glad to see that memory still lives in you, Mandy. That's beautiful. As we wrap up here, Mangold said, kindness and safety inspires me. Yes, my mother was very cruel. Mangold, I'm so sorry, honey. I choose my path now. I can live with that. We are on this path for a reason. We are on this path because we choose to either model the behavior that was shown to us, cruel or kind, or do the opposite. And this community here is choosing kindness and love. So everybody who shows up here is choosing kindness. And Jen, I love that you said that about you're just trying to be the change you want to see.
Thanks.
And that is whether people want to agree with that or not.
Yeah, they could think I'm full of, like,
That is a form of protest. It's a
that's just been
peaceful,
mine because it's been really hard for
it's
me
like
over the years.
artwork. Right.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
like
artwork.
just over the years of like, okay, I'm not doing anything. Okay, what am I doing? Okay, how can I? And it always just come back to the same thing. This is what I can do. I mean, this is what I can do. Like, so,
Right.
okay, well then do what you can do. And I have to live with myself, right, on what that is happening. And the only thing I'd add to what you were saying about just a Bengal comment about her, just the behavior of somebody and how they're acting. And I mean, if it makes it always makes me feel a little bit better, just because I know that within myself, like how someone's treating you is actually how they're treating themselves. Like, so
Absolutely,
it's
100%.
like, and that's why I've always had. I'm very careful about what I say. I'm very cautious about my audiences in different ways because I do come from love always. And to some people, it could look like I'm living in a fantasy world. And so I acknowledge that to some degree. But I don't always voice opinions because of the lashing that will come. But with everything that goes on in the world, like my philosophy is like kill them with love. Like if we're all so it's all anger and having all these different things. Like I'm just trying to come back from love. Like your lovely guest reminded me, like of like that's right. That's what I can do. Like so, I spread love because I'm trying to do that when I possibly can. But my point of what I was trying to say was not that. It was that if someone is treating you horrifically, I can guarantee you that they're treating themselves. And I'm not saying that because it's like, oh, it's okay. But for me, it's always been a place so that I can try and come back for compassion.
Yeah.
Because I believe that anger and being mean is way more accessible. And that's why people will access that versus the altar. And so I just am like, everyone gets to do whatever they want, but like, I'm going to try and spread love as much as I possibly can. I'm not doing it on the but keep it to myself in other ways. But like, you just have to be okay with you and what's going on. And even with how you're showing up in the world, like there's no reason to shame yourself. You can always do better.
Right. Right. And
you're doing the best
I
you
agree.
can.
I agree. And like you referred to Suzanne's comment about on last week, I interviewed Suzanne Giesman. Oh, so honored.
Oh,
But she was talking about bring love into anything, bring love into anything, bring love into anything. And I was just like, yeah, it shifts things. And if there are people who are not finding me on the algorithm because they're watching all this hateful stuff, maybe one of my videos will slip into their feed someday and they'll hear us talking about love, because the only solution to all of the problems is coming forward with love and kindness, period. Hate, even resistance, even saying I'm part of the resistance, resisting something makes it persist.
yeah.
So we need to change that languaging into going forward with love and bringing people closer, because the people who have, and I know we're running really long and I'm trying to wrap it up, but the people who have opposite opinions or belief systems that we believe are so cruel or whatever, politically, etc., yada, 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 they need love more than anybody.
Yes. I say this like regularly, and I've like run into things, and then yeah, we have to wrap it up. But like that interview, like I still am having so many different things about it, because I think one of the most impactful things that happened from it, and anybody that knows me from when I was a child is a little bit different. Like, but I came into this world just being a love machine. Like that, I was just a pure love. I
You're a
really was.
love
Like, all I wanted to
machine.
do was to love people. And then the world came along and everything got whatever and all the different things. And I've been trying to find my way back, slowly but surely. But when I heard her talk about that, I was like, you know what? That's it. I'm done. I'm going back to my love, everything love. And you know what? Everyone else, whatever's going on with them, they get to choose whatever they want. But I don't care if you've done whatever you've done. Everyone deserves love. It doesn't mean that you're accepting how people behave. It doesn't mean that you're saying it's okay what's happened. Everyone deserves love. If we could just shine some love,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
believe it can diffuse in another direction. And I can also be living in a fantasy world, and I'll admit it. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
but I'd rather live there than like where the alternative is, at least for me right now. So
And Mangold, and thank you, Vivian, for that. I put it on the screen for a moment just for time's sake. The
that's right.
Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day. My favorite, if anybody knows, has seen my Grinch paintings, all my Christmas decorations are Grinch. I love the Grinch. It was the first Christmas movie I ever remember watching at my cousin's house when I was little. And it's the story of the Grinch is so important, and I'm so happy to hear you say that. And the fact that you just got a notification from your dad's supposedly closed TikTok account after we were just talking about him. Spirit is funny that way. Aunt Jen, everybody, Mangold, Mandy, Holly, Vivian, Carol, Peekaboo, Lemon Fresh Joy, everybody, Serena, Kelly Foster, Vicky,
Megan,
Megan,
everyone.
Annie, everybody who's here, Creative Chick Studios, Linda Larson, Cherry, or Cherie. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and everybody else who joined who I didn't see your name. Aunt Jen, I love you.
I love you, Peaceful
Love.
Nick. We'll be back next week.
Yep. Yep. And
Great.
feel free to put in the comments below the videos once it's like back on regular YouTube or whatever it does. What subjects do you want us to cover? Because we could cover a lot and we need ideas. So thank you, everyone. Love to all. Love, love, love. Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye. See you next week.